What is up, guys? Welcome back to Innovation. My name is Mitch, and today we're going to be checking out the Big Sur from AIMA. Now, before we jump into the review, if you're interested in seeing some crazy tests that we did with a black Big Sur, you can head on over to Electrified Reviews. We've got a top 10 fat tire e-bikes video we did. We did some crazy tests. It's nothing, it's really more entertainment than science, but if you want to see how she performed, you can watch that video. I'll link it over here, but you're probably here for an in-depth look at this bike, so let's head over there and find out what she's all about. So first thing we'll do is just do a little walk around here. As you can tell, this is a nice, big, fat tire e-bike. And compared to some of the other bikes that are similar price points, similar features, I think the Mach Wheel Basalt, maybe the Adventure Point 2 are all sort of good comparisons here. This one has probably the most refined look to it, in my opinion. You know, we've got these brown sidewall stripes, we've got some welds. I'm assuming there's welds here. You really can't see them. It is a very refined looking e-bike. We've got the MIK HD rack in the back, so you can put on some really cool accessories, nice big fenders. We've got lights, integration, a nice display, big battery. So all in all, on paper, this thing is pretty sweet. Looks nice, performs well, and let's go ahead and talk about some of these components. So in the back here, we've got our 750 watt Bafang rear hub motor. Now this thing is capable of top speeds of 28 miles per hour. Probably could be unlocked to go faster, but 28 miles per hour on this thing feels really, really nice. And so that's, you know, that's in most places that's the legal speed you want to go. So 750 watt motor here in the rear. Now up here we have got our throttle, so you can throttle up to 20 miles per hour the way it comes, and if you want to hit that 28 miles per hour, you are going to have to do some pedaling. Now this is where it gets kind of cool, because this is not a cadence sensing e-bike. The reason I mentioned Mach wheels because they've got a torque sensor, and so spoilers, this also has a torque sensor. So over here we've got our torque sensing pedal assist, which is pretty sweet. And if you've ever ridden a cadence and you've, you know, hopped off and gotten onto a torque sensor e-bike, you know that a torque sensor is a little bit more of an engaged ride. So with the cadence, you're just, you know, circling the pedals and you're getting magnets, and magnets say, hey, we're going, let's give them some power. But this one actually senses the torque and the pressure that you put down when you pedal. So you feel a little bit more like Lance Armstrong, not just somebody who's on an electric machine. So in my opinion, the torque sensors are really, really cool, especially for those people that want to get outside, they want to do some riding, and you can do all that here with the torque sensor. So that is a really cool thing to see here. Then it's kind of, I guess, in the vein of driving, let's talk about the drive chain here. So we've got a Shimano Altus derailleur here in the back, 8 speeds. Now, right in the box, this thing was perfect. Didn't have to adjust anything, which is always nice as a reviewer. You know, I'm putting together these bikes and stuff, so when I can just pop it out of the box, take it for a ride, really enjoy that. Now, we don't get a derailleur guard or anything like that, and I'm not sure there is a location for one. But for most of the places you can ride this bike, not a huge deal, but might be something cool to see, you know, a derailleur guard if that's something you're into. There's probably some options that work for, you know, third party, or if you can find one that fits into these bolts right here and then kind of comes over here, there's probably some options out there, but doesn't come with one right at the gate. We do have a chain guard here, a little slap guard, so as the chain's going like this, there's actually a thin coat. I don't know if you can see that on the screen or not, but there is a protective coating here. It's pretty much just, you know, a thicker sticker that goes on the top here. You can barely see it, and that's going to help prevent, you know, frame damage or anything like that from the chain going up and down and slapping if you get into some off-road scenarios. Up here on the right, we've got our Shimano trigger shifters, which is sweet. Like I mentioned, 8 speeds. Now again, right out of the box, shifted really well. I guess if this shifts well, this shifts well. That kind of makes sense, so maybe didn't need to mention that. But it is nice having this here instead of that Shimano SIS index shifter that we see a lot, because with these grips here, and also these are probably some of my favorite grips. We saw these on a couple of bikes this year, and they're kind of a hybrid mountain bike style feel and thickness right up to about here, and we get this little kick out here at the bottom with some good padding here for, you know, the palms of your hands here. 2 locking mechanisms, which we love to see. So these are, you know, pretty much, you know, bike agnostic. These are probably some of my favorite grips that people are coming out with right now. So it's really cool to see these on this bike. So all in all, the whole drive system just works really, really well. And while you're driving, you're probably wondering, hey, what's the battery range? Well, with this one, we get a 48 volt, 15 amp hour battery, which is gonna give you quite a bit of options as far as range goes. Now, the battery mounts down here in the bottom, and it's very easy to get out. I will get this key off of here. Maybe I'll just talk while I do it, so I don't have to make a cut here. But maybe I just keep talking about how I'm gonna make a cut, and then I make a cut. So maybe there's a cut, maybe there's not. So go ahead and go like this. Now you notice I don't have my hand under here because we're gonna unlock this thing here, kaboom, and then we're gonna just press this button, and then the battery releases. Now, they left us plenty of space here, which is nice, so you don't have to worry about moving the tire to the correct angle or something like that. It just slides in and out very, very easily. And like I said, we've got our 48 volt, 15 amp hour, 720 watt hours, if you guys can see that here. And then to put this back in, don't think you need the key, so let me double check. That's something I usually forget about bikes. So let's see. So the key is out. I'm gonna hold that in my mouth like this, because that's really good for the audio. And then I'll slide the battery in. And also over here, you do have a quick read, so you can see how much charge in here. I think it's fully loaded. So if you are charging this off the bike, you can always double check that. And we'll slide it in there, and it just slaps into place like that. So you don't need the key, and I don't need to put the key in my mouth anymore. So that is always something that is just a cool thing to see. A lot of these bikes, you gotta keep the key in there, then you gotta move it, which causes you to kind of leave the key in here when you're charging it sometimes. So, you know, in my opinion, this is a much better setup for this battery. Now let's go ahead and power the bike on. You can do that in 2 spots with this display, which is interesting. So you can turn it on right here in the center, or there's a power button right here. I think I find myself most of the time just doing this. I've got a Zen Samurai that I have that has the Bosch system in it, and the power button's, you know, somewhere over on the screen, so I'm just kind of used to it. So as we pop this up, you can see, or can you see, try to see, yeah, you can see it pretty decently. So right here we've got our miles per hour. It's gonna show us our battery percentage. It's gonna show us our level of pedal assist we're in, and our time. That is not correct, so that needs to be reset. So power assist level, we're gonna adjust that up here. We got these 2 buttons, one goes up, 1 through 5, and those blue bars will pop in as we adjust our level of pedal assist, and we press down. That's gonna take us back down to 0 or walk mode. So in order to turn the lights on, go ahead and press and hold this, and it is labeled here pretty good if you can see that. There is the light here at the bottom, and there's a little foot for walk mode at the bottom. So we're gonna go ahead and press this one at the top. Kaboom, it's gonna turn our light on, and then our light is over here in the front. And when I say it's gonna turn a light on, I was just kidding. Let me see. Oh, there we go. All right, so now the light is on. Now this particular light is, I mean, it looks pretty cool. It is fun. It does give us that horn functionality, which I'll demonstrate later, or I can demonstrate now. The horn button's right underneath here. Very loud, high-pitched horn noise, which for some people is gonna be better. It doesn't necessarily sound like a horn from a different type of vehicle, so it's a very like high-pitched, whoa, what was that? So a little bit safer in my opinion, decently loud, but not obnoxiously loud, which again, is a good thing in my opinion. So it's not terribly bright. Now it is, you know, the middle of the day in Texas, so we've got a nice bright sun over there. And with these bigger lights, generally there's a wider throw to it. So some of these smaller lights have a very small throw and kind of lights up the path in front of you. These ones, they expand a little bit more. And this, for me, is probably my biggest con of the bike is the front light. Not terrible, but it would be cool if there was something that was either a little brighter, a little more robust, or if we had something like the Ufree City Robin X Plus. I guess all the Ufree bikes, they have a light that's mounted up here. It's more of a cube light, very nice, very bright, and then mounting this up a little bit higher is gonna give us better safety points if we did, you know, points here. So go ahead and let's check out the back while we're here. So while that light is on, our rear tail light is also on. Again, pretty bright outside, but there it is. And double check the braking functionality here. Yeah, so as we brake, I'm gonna be holding the brake lever up here. You'll see that the light is gonna flash, which is cool. An excellent safety feature. It just lets people know you're coming to a stop when you do stop. So that is nice. Speaking of the brakes, these are Tektro hydraulic brakes, which we like to see. Very standard hydraulic brake, right? Which is good for two reasons. One, it is a name brand, so it is something you can trust a little bit more than an off-brand or non-label, things like that. And it's going to be very easy to replace parts if these do break, right? With a lot of these e-bikes, especially when we get into a lot of the very specific parts and like, well, we just manufactured this for our bike, can be difficult to get parts for. But with Big Sur, with AIMA, AIMA is one of the largest manufacturers in China, and so for them, getting Tektros, or just you in the States getting Tektros, is gonna be super easy. And then down here, we've got our Tektro calipers, and you'll notice these discs are ginormous, because these are 203 millimeter rotors instead of the regular 180s that we see on a lot of bikes. Now 180 is decent. I mean, if this had 180s on it, I wouldn't complain about it whatsoever. But the fact that we do get 203s, larger braking area, is gonna make this a little bit safer, right? So then also here, while we're down here, we've got these tires. Now these are moped rated tires, which you can see right here, 26x4s. You get the sidewall reflective stripes, we got brown sidewalls, we got some nice grip here, but they still do function really, really well on the roads, which this bike is pretty much designed for the pavement. It's not necessarily an off-road bike, but if you are gonna be on some more dirt-like trails, some loose terrain, having some big knobs like this is definitely a plus. But then usually you kind of like run into like, well, they're big and knobby, but they don't roll very fast or very silently on the concrete. These ones are a pretty good hybrid tire in my opinion, because they roll really well on like all the bike paths and stuff that we have here. But when you want to go in the grass, when you want to go in the dirt, you can do that with these tires. So I'm a pretty big fan of these. It comes with these nice big wide plastic fenders. I like plastic fenders in my opinion, because where we live, Houston, Texas, there is a lot of moisture in the air, right? A lot of rust causing agents, if you will. And having plastic means that if you nick it with a rock or something like that, it's still gonna hold up. It's not gonna start rusting away. And in my opinion, I like those a little bit better. And these ones are really wide. They give us some really good coverage on here. So we took it off-roading, especially in that top 10 video, you'll see us doing some stuff that's off-road. And these keep the bike really, really clean. And you'll notice, because down here is a spot that you normally would get dirt. On the battery is a spot you would normally get dirt. And these protect really, really well against pretty much everything getting from either the bottom of the frame or even up this side of the battery. So pretty big fan of those. Up in the front, we've got the Zoom suspension forks, and these ones are pretty sweet. We do have some options. We do get lockout, we do get preload adjustments, which we like to see, and only 80 millimeters of travel, which is great for on road, some of the soft off-road stuff we're doing. So as far as where this bike should be ridden, these are going to be perfect. The fact that we have this is excellent. For suspension, we don't get anything in the rear, and it doesn't come with a seat post suspension, but a lot of people that I've seen who get these bikes will upgrade to a seat post suspension here, and that seems to give a really, really smooth, really, really solid ride. So that might be something to look at upgrading. I recommend spending above 80 bucks unless you can find something that is, on sale. Generally, the lower priced ones are going to be not necessarily worth the money. So when you do get a suspension seat post, you're not going to spend $250, but expect to spend about 100 bucks or so. There's plenty of options out there on Amazon. The other thing to look at, this one is the medium-sized frame. It is fairly large. A really low step through, so very accessible for a lot of people. The seat goes down quite a bit. Our seat post tube here is, cut way down, so if we loosen this, that becomes very approachable. But you'll see, because of the angle of that, where the saddle is, the stack here is pretty tight, and we don't get an adjustable stem here. So again, another 20, 25 bucks if you are about 5'11", maybe 6 foot, you might want to start looking at getting something that either extends this out a little bit or is adjustable so you could bring it out and up so you have a more upright ride. For me, this is pretty good. I'm 5'10", so I like the medium size frame quite a bit. If you're smaller, they do have a small frame as well. So 5'10" fits really well on this bike. I would say 5'6" through 5'10" is probably a pretty decent range for this bike for a perfect fit. If you're a little bit higher than that, you definitely want to look at an extension or an adjustable stem up here. And if you're smaller than that, you might want to look at the small frame. So they do provide a couple of options. No, extra larges or large frames yet, but I think as more people get interested in this particular brand, they'll probably look at expanding that a little bit more. So that is pretty much going to cover it for the specs. If there's anything I didn't cover, you guys let me know down in the comments. But I think it's time for us to head outside for the ride. Well, I guess we are outside, so we'll just head out for a ride test. All right, guys, we are out here for the ride test on the Big Sur from AIMA, and let's go ahead and turn the pedal assist levels off, and let's ride this around like a real bike. See how the gearing and everything stacks up. So before we started rolling, I remembered to downshift. So it is in 1, which is not typical for me. Go ahead and shift to 2. Nice, easy shifts. Honestly, this feels great. Just kind of riding around. We're going about 7 miles per hour. It is going to show us our speed here, which is excellent. Some bikes don't do that unless you're using pedal assist, so love to see that feature here. Go ahead and shift into 3rd gear, 4th gear, 5th gear, 6th, 7th, and 8th. So nice, easy shifting throughout the whole range. Now you can shift 2 gears at a time, which is dope, but it's an electric bike, so let's go ahead and put it in pedal assist level 1, kind of see where that takes us. And again, this is torque sensor, so the more force that we put down, the more we're gonna get out of it. Right now we're going about 13 miles per hour. Very easy as far as the pressure I'm putting on the pedals. We'll go ahead and hit pedal assist level 2. Again, super easy what I'm doing as far as pedaling goes. So looks like we're about 6th gear on this side, so our chain ring, our shifter's in 6th gear, and then we're going about 20 miles per hour in speed limit 2. Going at 3, gonna go a little bit faster, probably shifting to 8. Gonna hit this bump at the bottom, see how the suspension works out. Oh yeah, that's nice. That is nice. So even without the C-post suspension, which I think would be an excellent upgrade here, this is a very, very comfortable ride. So again, you're going about 22 miles per hour, pedal assist level 3, bump it up to 4, should get us to about 24, 25 or so, pretty easily. We're going through a twisty section here, and then we will hit that top speed over here on the edge. Brakes work really well, and again, right out of the box, this thing was not tuned at all, so it is cool that it is functioning really well. So we'll go pedal assist level 5. Again, it's torque, so we're gonna put down some pressure. And we are gonna get up to that top speed of 28 miles per hour pretty quickly. Yeah, boy. Go ahead and do a brake test here. Lots of control with the brakes. Now it's kind of cheating because I already know this thing's gonna perform really well on the hill climb test. But you guys, if you didn't watch that top 10 video, you might not know. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll come back, hit that boosty gap over there. No, you probably won't. And again, the throttle, super nice here. It caps out around 20 miles per hour or so. Let's see how those brakes handle the downhill. Oh, super easy. Yeah, that is cool. So the first one we'll do is throttle only. We'll turn around here. We are in pedal assist level 5. Nice easy turnaround here. We'll do throttle only from the bottom. Climbing climbing. Almost. So there's a little bit of speed. You should do a little bit better. Let's try that. Get a little bit of a roll up to it. Again, pretty maneuverable. Super easy to hit this spot. Kind of hit it about 8 miles per hour or so. And kaboom. Losing a little bit of steam down there towards the end, but the real impressive part is when we start hitting that torque sensor. So let's go ahead and do that. So that was throttle only. It is making it up the hill, but it's not screaming up there or anything. Let's see, so we're in pedal assist level 5. Lowest gear. Let's go ahead and hit it. Oh my goodness. Too easy. Too easy. That's great. We could do that from a dead stop, I bet. All right, so over here, dead stop. I'm putting very little pressure onto it, and that was super easy. Always, we'll do just throttle right now, but it's always cool when you get a bike. Sometimes the throttle, so you see, it takes us a little bit to get up to 20 miles per hour. So it's not tuned to be super torquey, but then as soon as you start using that torque sensing pedal assist, it just climbs with those hills. No problems. But yeah, so we can throttle around like this at 20 miles per hour. Very nice, very comfortable. Again, very maneuverable, especially for a fat tire bike. We also got really low motor noise, which is nice. Now some of those knobs, like they do add a little bit of road noise. As we mentioned earlier, there are some pros and cons about having a kind of all-terrain tire on a bike that's mainly for the city. A little bit of road noise, but between that and the motor, it's really fairly quiet. Yeah, this is one of those bikes that's just so comfortable you can just ride around all day, all night. Big Sur by day, all night. Those of you who don't understand that reference, get educated, folks. Get educated. Now it is I think it's it's a theme song or theme quote from the Joe Rogan podcast. Some fighter was like, all day, Joe Rogan podcast by night, train by day. Something like that. But yeah, we are just cruising. Now, when you're in pedal assist level 8 and you're going this fast, you don't have to put that much pressure. There's zero ghost pedaling here, which is excellent. It's always nice when somebody gets the ratios just right as far as the chainring go. It allows us to cruise around, have an engaged ride all the way up to that 28 miles per hour. We're just cruising. Go ahead and do a brake test here. We're at 20 miles per hour. Go brake on 3, 2, 1. So you can really lock those brakes out. That was probably closer to 23, 25 feet there. Locking out the brakes. Now, when you brake, you don't necessarily want to lock out the brakes. You can stop a little bit quicker, but you do lose control of the bike. Whereas if you come to a nice controlled stop, you're still able to turn if you didn't judge everything that you're doing there just right. So do like a nice controlled stop here. See, again, I can kind of turn out of it. Yeah, all in all, very impressed with this bike, especially at the price point. It's affordable, sub $2,000 e-bike. And to get all of these features on something like that for the price is pretty darn impressive. I feel like this could easily be a $2,200, $2,300 bike, but no, it's sub 2, which is great to see. Gonna hit that horn. There you go. He can't hear me. He's on a lawnmower, so that's pretty loud over there. But yeah, look at us, guys. We're just cruising around. Again, one of the things on a lot of these e-bikes, they get the gearing wrong, but this going 28 or 8th gear right here, very nice, very good cadence, in my opinion, for doing 28. So we are just cruising. Go ahead and lock these bad boys out here real quick. Ooh, a double slide, double turn. Okay. Well, guys, I think that's going to do it for our review on the Big Sur from AIMA. If you want to know more about them, you can head on over to their website, which will be linked down below. And if you guys have any questions about the bike, didn't cover in either the technical specification section or the ride test, let me know down in the comments. Love talking to you guys, and we'll catch you on the next one.